Hey guys, Danny here. Today we're looking at another Wi-Fi FPV drone that's stated to have a 18-minute flight time. On paper, this drone comes across pretty average on most of its specs. It has a 2 megapixel adjustable camera. It's a Wi-Fi FPV drone. It's got a decent build quality. But what's special about this drone is it has a 15-minute flight time. In my testing, it's stated to have a 18-minute flight time on the specifications. But for a toy grade drone, this is really quite impressive, and I'll definitely recommend checking out the rest of the video. I'll be unboxing this drone for you, and then I'll be doing some flight tests, and I'll give you my final review. If you'd like to buy this drone, of course you can find the link down in the description. Let's jump straight to it. Of course, we have the drone itself. It's got a pretty cool design. It does feel a little bit cheap in the hand. It's very lightweight. The plastic used for the body just feels a little bit too flimsy for my liking, but they don't have to be very strong to hold up well in most cases. Here we've got the battery, which is a 1200 milliamp hour 3.7 volt battery. Hopefully this should give us a pretty decent flight time. On the specifications it said 18 minutes. I'm hoping we get at least 15 on this. We've also got our controller, which is fully labelled. Always handy to have a labelled controller, so this is a good start. Feels pretty good in the hand. It's kind of like an Xbox controller. The controller takes 3 AA batteries. So you can see our camera module comes separated. We should just be able to slot this in place, and then we've got our little connector here. There's this little piece of plastic on the bottom of the drone that you slide out. Once you've got the connector in place, this simply just slides in. The camera on the front is also adjustable. The phone holder has quite an interesting design. You've got a knob on the side and on the back. The one on the back adjusts the height, and the one on the bottom is the orientation. I have to say I was quite disappointed with the camera quality on this drone. It is a 2 megapixel camera, so I wasn't expecting too much, but I have definitely seen better quality at this price point. However, it does have quite a nice wide angle, which not all toy grade drones have. Sometimes they have a very narrow field of view, so this is definitely a plus, that it gets a lot in your shot, especially if you want to do some high aerial shots and get yourself in frame also. The adjustable camera also makes this, of course, a little bit easier. The Wi-Fi feed held up pretty well. It was, I would kind of say, average. It didn't impress me massively, but I didn't have any major problems with it. I also had a few issues with the app crashing and also freezing. This was slightly frustrating. It didn't happen enough to ruin my experience, but it was definitely enough to annoy me. I would say during my test it happened 3 or 4 times. On one occasion I had to close and restart the app. On the others, my phone actually prompted me to restart it, which was more handy, but I still had control of the drone using the controller, so I simply landed it and just restarted the app and I was good to go. As the drone doesn't have any positioning systems, it just has altitude hold, it did struggle a little bit to stay in position, so I would say this is probably not best for a first time flyer, but if you have a little bit more experience, it's definitely pretty easy to control in low wind. If it was very windy, I think you may struggle on higher rates. This isn't the most maneuverable drone, but for most situations I think you'll be fine. I decided to do a little range test with the drone, as it seemed to be quite responsive in terms of control input, and you'll see that the signal worked pretty well. I think I took the drone up to maybe 40 to 50 meters here, which is getting towards its limit of range, but it still performed quite well. Even at this height, it didn't fare too badly against the wind, and you can see I was able to get a pretty good shot. Again, this wide angle camera is quite nice. You can get some pretty cool views. If only the video quality was a little bit nicer, you would be able to get some better shots, but nonetheless it's still pretty cool. For most of you, and including myself, the best selling point for this drone would definitely be its flight time. I was able to get a 15-minute flight time, which is really impressive for a drone of this price. This is a toy grade drone, so normally you would only get maybe a 6 to 7, maybe 8-minute flight time, but on this one I was getting 15 minutes, which is really nice. Often your fun is often cut short because battery life just isn't long enough on a lot of these products. Battery technology still has a bit of a way to go, but 15 minutes felt like I was able to get quite a lot of enjoyment from this product, and was really nice to be able to just fly it around and not worry about the battery just dying straight away. So this was really cool. I would still recommend maybe having a few batteries so you can have a good half hour of flight time. I had quite a lot of fun with this drone, and I don't have any problems recommending it. There were definitely some good and bad points for it. The drone has altitude hold, which seemed to work quite well. It doesn't have optical flow positioning or anything to actually keep the drone's position. So it was slightly hard to control in wind. It did have 3 different rates, and the highest rate was enough to battle some moderate wind, but it was quite difficult to control. So I probably wouldn't say this is good if you think of getting this for your first time drone. If you have a little bit more experience, then this is definitely a really good option. The camera quality, as you saw, wasn't too bad. It's definitely, I would say, below average for a drone of this price point. It did lack a little bit there, but I was thoroughly impressed with the flight time. I got about a 15-minute flight time, which was really nice. Even for me, I test a lot of different drones, and my biggest gripe is normally their short battery time. I mean, some of them you might get a 5-minute flight and it's just not really enough to enjoy it. If you had a couple of batteries for this drone, you could take it out for maybe a half-hour flying session, which is a decent amount of time, and you'd only have to change the battery once. The Wi-Fi FPV signal was a little bit hit and miss. It wasn't too bad, but I definitely have experienced stronger signals on other drones around the same price point. I would say overall my favourite thing about this drone was its long battery life, but I don't think it's going to impress you too much in other areas compared to some other drones. If this had optical flow positioning and maybe a slightly better camera, I would definitely say this would be one of my favourite toy grade drones. Because of those reasons, it wouldn't be. But if you're thinking of buying this, I definitely think it is a good option. I was also quite impressed with the controller. It performed pretty well. It's labelled, as you can see. The phone holder also was nice. I like the fact that you have these little knobs on the side so you can adjust and then tighten this. It actually worked really well and didn't move around much. This is quite a good design compared to some of the other ones I've seen. They can often be quite flimsy and annoying, but this one actually performed really well. The controller seemed pretty responsive to the drone. It worked quite well. Even when I took the drone up to quite a high altitude, the signal remained pretty strong. It was just the Wi-Fi FPV signal that suffered at times, but overall, the controller was definitely good. Overall, I'd give this drone a thumbs up. As always, if you'd like to buy this drone, you can find the link down in the description. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And I will see you in the next one.